How's it growing? In the last episode, we explored a wild cousin of eggplant, Solanum torvum, also known as turkey berry or eggplant pea. It can transform your eggplants into towering, resilient trees. But how exactly do you graft onto this powerhouse rootstock? And that's exactly what we're diving into today. I'll be demonstrating 2 proven grafting techniques so that whether you're a beginner or have some experience, you'll know exactly how to make your graft with a high success rate. But before you grab your grafting knife, there's something you need to know about growing torvum. It's a small mistake that could turn into a big headache. That sounds ominous. Should we warn them now? Not just yet. Stick around and we'll get to that. But if you're wondering, can I graft other nightshade plants to torvum? Say tomatoes? Let's just say I've tried that, and I'll show you how that went before we wrap up. All right, Stack, enough teasing. Let's get on to grafting. First, let's start with the Grafting 101 for anyone new to this. Bear with me as we geek out a little bit about plant science. Just 3 quick terms and you'll be set. First, scion. This is the branch or shoot that carries fruit or the traits that you want. It's the top part of the graft, and in this case, it's eggplant. Next, rootstock. This is the sturdy foundation that provides strength and resilience. Torvum makes an ideal rootstock, not just because of its large size and genetic compatibility with other nightshade plants, but because it's disease resistant and it's resistant to root knot nematodes. And it can live for 5 to 6 years. And finally, cambium layer. It's the thin 2-cell layer beneath the bark, and it's the living growth tissue responsible for a successful graft, producing new wood inside and fresh bark outside. The fruit trees you buy from a nursery are grafted low on the trunk, just above the roots. And while you could graft eggplant to torvum at the base as well, I prefer to graft onto a mature torvum about 4 or 5 feet high. This technique is called top work, and it allows for a plant to grow more like a tree, perfect if you're working with limited space like I do. Grafting onto a mature rootstock has a big advantage: rapid growth. And once it takes hold, sometimes it grows too fast, which means I have to trim it back to prevent damage from strong winds, a problem I've faced before. This one was mature enough to handle this windstorm. Regular pruning, especially before fall storms, is critical. Back to Grafting 101. You'll need a grafting tape and grafting knife. You could use a nursery tape, which I've done before, but I really prefer to use a tape that's made for grafting. You can use a grafting knife like this, or something like an X-Acto knife. It helps to have labels to label your graft. And I recommend having some grubbing alcohol to wipe down your tools. Oh, you forgot these. You'll need clippers. And we'll use this later for something else. You can find a grafting kit like this online, but by all means, support your local business if you can find one that sells these. Now the Cleft graft and Veneer graft. The Cleft graft is simpler, great for beginners, but the scion and rootstock need to be close in size. The Veneer graft, on the other hand, is much more forgiving when sizes don't match. Either way, sterilize both your knife and your clippers with rubbing alcohol before getting started. Let's start with the Cleft graft step by step. First, clip the rootstock with your clippers where you want the graft, leaving some space before the first node. I'm making a Cleft graft on 2 different plants. Then I'll do the same with the Veneer graft. The rootstock and scion should be close to thickness. If needed, you can match the sizes by using the trimmed section of the rootstock. Next, grab a healthy eggplant scion with your clippers, about 3 to 6 inches long with 2 to 3 buds. Wrap it with parafilm grafting tape or even saran wrap to lock in the moisture. Just make sure that the buds are exposed. Now take your knife and make a straight vertical cut down the center of the rootstock, a little over 1 inch deep. I'm applying pressure with my thumb for more control, making a smooth cut and as much in the center as possible. And of course, be careful not to cut yourself. For the scion, shape the bottom into a tapered wedge with 2 smooth, angled sides. I'm sharpening the tip of the scion for more of a snug fit inside the rootstock's cut. You want to match the depth of the rootstock cut, and this maximizes the cambium contact, improving the chances for success. Carefully insert the eggplant scion into the cleft, aligning the cambium layers. If the diameters don't match perfectly, no problem. Just make sure that at least one side aligns. Wrap the graft firmly with grafting tape. If the tape bunches up like this, just make one initial pass holding the graft together, then other passes to strengthen the graft. And add a bit of shade protection like a cheesecloth or hanky. Over the next few weeks, the two will fuse and fresh growth will appear. And that's the cleft graft. So let's move on to the veneer graft, a technique that's great when your scion is smaller than your rootstock. Instead of splitting the rootstock, you want to attach the scion to the side. And here's how that works. First, make a shallow vertical slice along the rootstock, about 2 or 2.5 inches long, removing the outer bark and a thin layer of wood. This one's deeper than the first veneer cut I made. Either should work fine. Now trim the scion into a tapered wedge with 2 smooth, angled sides that will match the exposed section of the rootstock. Carefully align the scion against the rootstock, matching the cambium layers as much as possible. Secure with grafting tape and add some shade protection. Keep in mind that these were shaded while making the grafts. Not every graft takes, and that's normal. Keep practicing and don't get discouraged. One way to build confidence is to practice your cuts on something like moringa branches or something else before making your real graft cuts. When you do grafting, make several. The more you graft, the better your odds. Leave some branches intact on the rootstock. They'll help keep the plant healthy during the graft healing. Once the scion pushes out its second flush of leaves, start pruning the other branches to direct the energy to the graft. Now, how about the tomatoes on the torvum? Yeah, let's just say it worked, but the results were meh. Small fruit, low productivity. If you've tried nightshade grafts on torvum, let me know in the comments. And that's how you graft eggplant to Solanum torvum. Oh, and that headache I mentioned earlier? Unless you want Solanum torvum popping up like weeds, make sure you harvest the berries before they go to seed. If you missed part 1, you should be able to see a link up here, and if not, you can find a link in the description. If you found this helpful, please consider hitting the like and subscribe. And as always, live regeneratively and let's grow together.